The Galactic Council chamber fell silent as Commander Vixthor activated the holographic display. 17 species watched as the image materialized before them, a massive vessel drifting at the edge of known space. "We detected this 4 days ago near the Sol system," Vixthor announced, his insectoid mandibles clicking nervously. "At first, we believed it was a derelict station or perhaps an abandoned colony ship." The hologram rotated slowly, revealing the true scale of the vessel. It stretched 4.2 kilometers from bow to stern, its dark hull covered in strange angular plating. Weapon ports dotted its surface like the eyes of some ancient predator. Counselor Threshkar rose from his seat, his reptilian frame towering over the assembly. "How large did you say?" 4.2 kilometers, Counselor." A wave of shocked murmurs rippled through the chamber. For 3,000 years, the Galactic Council had maintained peace through one fundamental law: no military vessel could exceed 800 meters in length. This ship was more than 5 times that limit. "Whose vessel is this?" demanded the avian delegate Karel, her feathers ruffling with agitation. "The vessel was detected near human space," Vixthor replied carefully. All eyes turned to Ambassador Miho, who sat frozen in the human delegation chair. His face had gone pale, and his hands gripped the armrests tightly. "Ambassador Miho," Threshkar's voice was cold and measured. "Does Earth have an explanation for this violation of the military limitation accords?" Miho stood slowly, his mind racing. Humanity's official fleet consisted of frigates and destroyers, nothing larger than 600 meters. He had personally reviewed Earth's military assets before accepting this assignment. There was no ship like this in any report. "Counselor, I have no knowledge of this vessel," Miho stammered. "Our registered fleet contains no ships of this classification." "Then you claim ignorance?" Threshkar's tail lashed behind him. "Or deception?" "Neither, Counselor. I am requesting permission to contact Earth Defense Command immediately for clarification." The chamber erupted into chaos. Delegates shouted accusations across the assembly floor. The Shalari representative, a feline species known for their economic prowess, hissed about broken trade agreements. The empathic Luminara delegates sat in worried silence, their translucent skin flickering with distressed colors. "Order!" Threshkar's voice boomed through the chamber. "The situation is clear. Humanity has either constructed a superweapon in violation of Council law, or they have lost control of such a weapon. Neither scenario is acceptable." Vixthor cleared his throat. "There is more, Counselor. When my fleet approached to within scanning range, the vessel's power signatures spiked dramatically. Reactor output increased by 400%. Weapon systems activated. Shield generators came online." "It threatened you?" Karel asked sharply. "No, Delegate. It simply woke up. As if our presence triggered some automatic defense protocol." The hologram zoomed in on sections of the hull, revealing details that made several delegates gasp. The armor plating was crude by Council standards, thick slabs of reinforced metal rather than elegant energy-resistant composites. The weapons appeared to be kinetic accelerators and missile banks, primitive technology that most species had abandoned centuries ago. But the scale made everything terrifying. A primitive railgun the size of a frigate could still crack a planet's crust. "This ship was built for war," Threshkar stated flatly. "Total war. The kind we have not seen in 3 millennia. Miho's communicator buzzed insistently against his wrist. A priority message from Admiral Jaiwan. "Miho, do not confirm or deny anything until we speak privately. This situation is extremely complicated." "The Council will vote," Threshkar announced. "I propose we send an inspection fleet to human space immediately. If this vessel is indeed human, and if humanity cannot provide adequate justification, we will have no choice but to consider expulsion from the Council. Or more severe measures." The vote was swift. Unanimous approval. As the session adjourned, Miho remained in his seat, watching the hologram rotate slowly. The massive ship seemed to stare back at him through the display, a silent giant holding secrets he suddenly feared to discover. His communicator buzzed again. Admiral Jaiwan's message was brief: "The ship is ours." And Miho, they were never supposed to find it. The end of Part 1. Ambassador Miho stood in the secure communications room aboard the diplomatic vessel Harmony Bridge, his hands shaking as Admiral Jaiwan's face appeared on the quantum-encrypted screen. The Admiral looked exhausted, her eyes carrying the weight of a secret finally coming to light. "Tell me it's not true," Miho said quietly. "Tell me that ship doesn't belong to us." Admiral Jaiwan was silent for a long moment. Then she took a deep breath. Her name is Titan's Fist. She's humanity's first and only Titan-class warship. We built her over 40 years ago in the Kuiper Belt, far beyond where anyone would think to look. Miho felt his legs weaken. He gripped the edge of the console. 40 years? That was before we even made first contact with the Council. Why would we build something like that? Because we didn't know, Jaiwan replied, her voice tight. Think about it, Miho. We detected alien signals for the first time 50 years ago. We knew we weren't alone. But we had no idea if whoever was out there would be friendly or hostile. She pulled up files on her screen, showing construction logs and authorization documents. The UN Security Council approved Project Titan in secret. The reasoning was simple. If first contact went wrong, if the aliens came to conquer rather than to greet, Earth needed a weapon that could defend itself. One ship powerful enough to make any aggressor think twice. So we built a dreadnought, Miho said bitterly. We built exactly the kind of weapon the Council has spent 3,000 years trying to eliminate. We built insurance, Jaiwan corrected. And when first contact turned out to be peaceful, when the Council welcomed us, the Security Council made a decision. They kept Titan's Fist in cold standby. Skeleton crew, communications silence, hidden in the outer system. Just in case. Miho paced the small room. Just in case what? In case our new friends turned out to be enemies? In case we needed to threaten them? In case we needed to protect ourselves, Jaiwan said firmly. You've read the same history I have. Every species in the Council went through their own version of this. The difference is they did it before meeting each other. We did it after detecting alien signals but before making contact. The timing makes us look guilty, but the reasoning was sound. The Council won't see it that way. I know. Jaiwan's expression hardened. But there's more you need to understand. Titan's Fist was supposed to stay hidden. Her stealth systems were cutting edge, designed to make her invisible to standard Council scanning technology. But 3 weeks ago, unusual solar flare activity from our sun disrupted the stealth field. The ship became visible for approximately 40 minutes before the crew could restore the systems. And that's when the Vrexian patrol found her. Exactly. It was terrible luck. Or perhaps it was inevitable. Secrets this big don't stay buried forever. Miho stopped pacing and faced the screen. What am I supposed to tell the Council? They're sending an inspection fleet. Threshkar is already talking about expulsion or worse. Admiral Jaiwan leaned forward. You tell them the truth. All of it. We invite them to tour the ship, to meet Captain Daehoon and his crew, to see exactly what we built and why we built it. You want to let them aboard? Complete transparency is our only option now. If we try to hide anything else, they'll assume we're planning an invasion. But if we show them everything, the construction logs, the original authorization, the defensive purpose behind the design, maybe they'll understand. Or maybe they'll see exactly how dangerous we are. Jaiwan smiled grimly. They're going to learn something about humanity either way. Better they learn we're honest than think we're liars. Miho closed his eyes. When the Council sees what we built in secret, with our supposedly primitive technology, they're going to realize something. We're not the peaceful junior members they thought we were. No, Jaiwan agreed. We're survivors. We're a species that prepares for the worst while hoping for the best. And now they're about to see what that looks like. The communication ended, leaving Miho alone with the impossible task ahead. He had to convince 17 species that humanity's greatest weapon was built from fear, not aggression. He just hoped they would understand the difference. The end of Part 2. The Council inspection fleet emerged from quantum space near the coordinates provided by Ambassador Miho. 7 ships representing the Council's most prominent species hung in the void, their sensors focused on the massive vessel ahead. Even though they had seen the holographic projections, nothing prepared them for the reality of Titan's Fist. By the ancient stars, breathed Karel, the avian delegate. Her translator barely captured her shock. It's even larger than the scans indicated. The human warship drifted silently in space, its dark hull absorbing light rather than reflecting it. The inspection fleet's largest vessel, a Vrexian battlecruiser, looked like a child's toy in comparison. The main cannon mounted along Titan's Fist spine was longer than most Council frigates. All ships maintain defensive formation, ordered Counselor Threshkar from the command ship. Weapons charged but not locked. We don't know what we're dealing with. A communication channel opened. A human voice, calm and professional, filled the bridge. Council Inspection Fleet, this is Captain Daehoon of the United Nations Starship Titan's Fist. You are cleared to approach and dock. Welcome aboard. The docking process took nearly an hour. The ship's interior bays were designed to accommodate much larger craft than the Council's shuttles. When the delegates finally stepped onto the hangar deck, they found themselves in a space that could have held their entire fleet. Captain Daehoon waited for them with a full honor guard. He was younger than Threshkar expected, perhaps 40 years old, with steady eyes and a bearing that suggested military discipline. He saluted crisply. "Counselor Threshkar, delegates, on behalf of my crew, I welcome you to Titan's Fist. Ambassador Miho has explained the situation. We are prepared to show you everything." "Everything?" Threshkar asked coldly. "Every system, every weapon, every design specification. We have nothing to hide." The tour began in the ship's command center. The bridge was enormous, with stations for over 50 crew members. Holographic displays showed the ship's status. All systems operational, all weapons ready. The Shalari engineer, a feline named Hyunsik, examined the control systems with growing fascination. "This architecture is completely different from Council designs. Everything is redundant. Triple backups on critical systems." "Why?" Captain Daehoon answered simply. "Because this ship was designed to fight alone, against superior numbers for extended periods. If one system fails, two more take its place." They moved through the vessel's corridors, each section revealing more of humanity's brutal approach to warship design. The armor plating was simple but incredibly thick, meters of reinforced alloy where Council ships use centimeters of advanced composites. The power core was massive, inefficient by Council standards, but capable of running at combat levels for months without refueling. In the weapons bay, the delegates fell silent. Rows of missiles lined the walls, each warhead larger than a person. Kinetic accelerators stretched the length of entire decks. Nuclear warheads sat in reinforced storage, technology most species had abandoned as primitive and barbaric. "You still use fission weapons," the Luminara delegate whispered, her translucent skin flickering with distress. "We haven't built such things in 2,000 years. "They work," Captain Daehoon said matter-of-factly. "When scaled to this size, they work very well." Counselor Threshkar stopped before the main railgun control station. Through the observation window, he could see the massive weapon extending forward through the ship's superstructure. This cannon could destroy a city with a single shot. "Yes," Daehoon confirmed. "It could crack a planet's crust." "With sustained fire, yes." Threshkar turned to face the human captain, his reptilian features twisted with anger. "This vessel violates every principle of the military limitation accords. It is a weapon of mass destruction. How can you justify its existence?" Captain Daehoon met his gaze without flinching. "This vessel was designed to protect a planet, Counselor. One planet. The only one humanity had. We built Titan's Fist when we were alone in the universe, when we didn't know if the next ship to arrive at Earth would come in peace or in conquest." "You built it from fear," Karel observed quietly. "We built it from necessity," Daehoon corrected. "We are a young species. We have known war, invasion, conquest. When we detected your signals and knew we weren't alone, we had to ask ourselves one question: what if they come to take our home?" The Luminara delegate, Bauman, stepped forward. As an empath, she could sense the emotions radiating from the human crew members they passed. "I feel no aggression from your people, Captain. Only protectiveness. Deep, instinctive protectiveness." "That's correct," Daehoon said quietly. Threshkar demanded access to the ship's complete tactical database and design specifications. "If humanity expects to remain in the Council, we must verify that this is your only vessel of this class." Ambassador Miho, who had remained quiet during the tour, finally spoke. "Captain, transmit all requested files to the Council fleet." "Ambassador, are you certain?" "Complete transparency, Captain. It's our only chance." The end of Part 3. The Galactic Council chamber had never seen such heated debate. For 3 days straight, delegates argued without resolution. The question before them was simple in words but impossible in practice. What to do about humanity and their Titan warship? Counselor Threshkar stood at the central podium, his voice cutting through the noise. "The facts are clear. Humanity constructed a superweapon in secret. They hid it from us for 15 years. This is deception of the highest order. I propose immediate expulsion from the Council and mandatory decommissioning of the vessel." Several delegates voiced their agreement, their various forms of applause filling the chamber. But Karel rose from her seat, her feathers smoothed in a gesture of calm reasoning. "We must consider the timeline, Counselor. Humanity built Titan's Fist before they joined the Council. Before they even made first contact with us. They could not violate laws they did not know existed. Ignorance is not innocence, Threshkar hissed. They should have declared the vessel's existence when they applied for membership. The Luminera delegate, Bauman, activated her speaker. I toured that ship. I touched the minds of the crew. What I felt was not aggression or conquest. It was fear, counselor. Ancient, bone-deep fear of the unknown. She projected images onto the chamber's main display, scenes from humanity's history that the Council's researchers had compiled. Wars spanning thousands of years. Cities destroyed. Weapons of terrible power used against their own kind. Multiple instances where humanity nearly destroyed itself. Look at their history, Bauman continued. They have known war in ways we cannot imagine. When they detected our signals and realized they were not alone in the universe, they did what survivors do. They prepared for the worst. Iunsik, the Shalari engineer, added his analysis. I have reviewed the ship's design specifications. The construction took 40 years using primitive methods by our standards. They built Titan's Fist with determination and desperation. It is not an assault vessel designed for conquest. It is a fortress designed to defend a single point, Earth. That changes nothing, Threshkar argued. The ship exists. It is operational. And it gives humanity military superiority over any single council member. This creates an unacceptable power imbalance. Does it? Asked Counselor Jisu of the aquatic Delpani species. Or does it reveal something we have refused to acknowledge? The chamber quieted. Jisu was known for her wisdom and rarely spoke unless her words carried weight. For 3,000 years we have enjoyed peace, Jisu continued. We banned large warships, limited weapons development, and congratulated ourselves on our enlightened civilization. But we did not eliminate war, we simply forgot how to fight. Our defense fleets are ceremonial. Our weapons are outdated. We have grown comfortable. She paused, letting her words sink in. Humanity spent 40 years building one ship. And that single vessel is more powerful than half our combined fleet. What does that tell us about ourselves? Uncomfortable murmurs rippled through the assembly. There is another matter, interjected Counselor Yeji of the silicon-based Crystari. She was the Council's chief intelligence officer, and her next words made several delegates lean forward. The Krell Empire has increased border activity by 300% in the last 2 years. Our analysts believe they are testing our defenses. The Krell have been quiet for centuries, Threshkar said dismissively. Because we were strong centuries ago, Yeji countered. Our intelligence suggests they view the current council as weak. They are probing for vulnerabilities. If they attack, our current defense fleet would struggle to mount an effective response. The chamber fell silent. The Krell were an expansionist species that the council had fought to a standstill over 1,000 years ago. The peace treaty that followed had held, but only because both sides maintained credible military strength. You suggest we need humanity's warship, Threshkar said slowly. I suggest we need humanity's mindset, Yeji replied. They remember how to fight. They remember that peace must sometimes be defended with strength. Karel spoke again. Perhaps humanity's timing was fortunate. They bring us something we have lost, the will to defend what we have built. Or they bring the seed of our destruction, Threshkar countered. Today they build one Titan ship. Tomorrow 10. In a generation they could dominate the council through military force. Ambassador Miho had listened to all of this from the human delegation section. Now he rose carefully. Counselor Threshkar, I understand your concerns. But consider this, if humanity wanted to dominate the council, why did we reveal Titan's Fist? We could have kept it hidden. We could have built more in secret. Instead we chose transparency. Only because you were discovered? Threshkar shot back. And yet we still chose honesty over deception, Miho replied calmly. We invited you aboard. We gave you every specification, every design file, complete access to our crew and systems. We are not your enemies, Counselor. We are your allies who came prepared. Before Threshkar could respond, alarms suddenly blared throughout the chamber. Emergency lights flashed red. A panicked communications officer's voice echoed through the speakers. Council emergency. We have multiple hostile contacts in the Thesha sector. The Krell Empire has launched a full-scale invasion. Thesha 7 is under attack. They're heading for Apex Prime. The chamber erupted into chaos. The end of Part 4. The council chamber descended into panic as reports flooded in from Thesha 7. 30 Krell warships had crossed the border in force, destroying orbital defenses within minutes. The colony's distress signal cut off mid-transmission. They're not stopping at Thesha, Counselor Yeji announced, her crystalline voice cracking with stress. Krell fleet trajectory indicates they're heading directly for Apex Prime. Estimated arrival, 14 hours. Threshkar pulled up defensive projections on the main display. The results made his blood run cold. The Council's defense fleet was scattered across a dozen sectors. Even if every ship converged on Apex Prime immediately, they would arrive hours after the Krell. And the few vessels currently stationed at the Council homeworld were no match for 30 Krell battleships. Begin evacuation procedures, Karel ordered, her feathers rigid with fear. All non-essential personnel must leave immediately. Ambassador Miho's communicator buzzed urgently. He stepped into the corridor and activated the secure channel. Admiral Jaiwan's face appeared, tense but determined. Miho, we've been monitoring Council emergency channels. We know about the Krell attack. Admiral, the situation is desperate. The Council's fleet cannot respond in time. Titan's Fist can reach Apex Prime in 6 hours, Jaiwan said quietly. Captain Daehoon is ready to move. But we need authorization. We cannot enter Council space uninvited, especially not now. We need them to ask. Miho's heart pounded. You want the Council to request our help? After 3 days of debating whether to expel us? We're not asking them to trust us, Miho. We're asking them to let us prove ourselves. Miho returned to the chamber where delegates were arguing over evacuation priorities. He approached Threshkar directly, pulling the counselor aside. Threshkar, Titan's Fist can be here in 6 hours. Captain Daehoon is requesting permission to defend Council space. The reptilian counselor's eyes widened. You would help us? After how I treated you? After I demanded your expulsion? You were protecting your people, Miho said simply. Now let us protect ours. All of them. Threshkar looked at the chaos around him, at the terrified delegates preparing to flee. His pride wrestled with his duty. Finally, he straightened and addressed the assembly. The human vessel Titan's Fist has requested permission to defend Apex Prime. I recommend we accept their offer. The vote took less than 30 seconds. Unanimous approval. 6 hours later, the Krell fleet emerged from quantum space at Apex Prime's edge. Their formation was perfect, ships arranged in attack waves designed to overwhelm any resistance. The Council's remaining defense ships, 8 frigates and 2 destroyers, positioned themselves desperately between the invaders and the station. Krell Commander Vexenar watched the pitiful defense force with satisfaction. The Council had grown weak. Today would prove it. Then his sensors officer made a sound of confusion. Commander, detecting a new contact. Single vessel, massive displacement, emerging from quantum space. The view screen filled with an image that made Vexenar's confidence evaporate. Titan's Fist dropped into normal space between the Krell fleet and Apex Prime. The human warship dwarfed every vessel present, its dark hull bristling with weapons. Running lights activated along its length, making it look like some ancient predator opening its eyes. Captain Daehoon's voice broadcast on all frequencies, calm and professional. Krell fleet, this is Captain Daehoon of the United Nations starship Titan's Fist. You are in Council space without authorization. Power down your weapons and withdraw immediately. Vexenar laughed. 1 ship. The humans send 1 ship against 30? Their arrogance matches their ignorance. All vessels, he ordered. Focus fire on the human ship. Destroy it. The Krell fleet opened fire simultaneously. Energy beams and missiles converged on Titan's Fist in a devastating barrage that would have vaporized any Council vessel. The human ship shuddered under the impact. Armor plating glowed white-hot. Shield generators screamed at maximum capacity. And Titan's Fist kept coming. Damage report, Daehoon ordered calmly. Outer hull compromised in sections 7 and 12. Shields at 60%. All primary systems operational. All weapons ready. Daehoon allowed himself a small smile. They wanted to see what humanity built. Let's show them. All weapons fire at will. The Titan warship unleashed hell. The main railgun fired, and the universe seemed to hold its breath. The projectile, a tungsten rod accelerated to a fraction of light speed, crossed the distance in seconds. It struck the Krell flagship dead center, punching through shields, armor, and hull as if they were paper. The massive vessel split in 2, explosions rippling along its length. Missile batteries opened up next, hundreds of warheads streaking toward the Krell formation. Nuclear fire bloomed in the void as ship after ship took critical hits. The Krell fleet broke formation, trying to surround the human vessel. But Titan's Fist had been designed for exactly this scenario. 1 ship against many. Its point defense systems created a wall of fire that destroyed incoming ordnance. Its thick armor absorbed hits that would cripple Council ships. Its redundant systems kept it fighting even as sections took damage. Captain Daehoon watched the tactical display with the calm of someone who had trained for this moment his entire career. "Helm, bring us about. Let's finish this." On Apex Prime, the Council delegates watched in stunned silence as the battle unfolded. The human ship fought with a brutal efficiency they had never witnessed. No elegant maneuvers, no flashy tactics. Just raw, overwhelming firepower and an absolute refusal to yield. Within 2 hours, 15 Krell ships were destroyed or crippled. The remainder fled back across the border in disarray. Titan's Fist held position, its hull scarred and smoking but still operational. Still dangerous. Counselor Threshkar stood before the observation window, watching the human warship float silently in space among the debris of battle. Beside him, Ambassador Miho waited quietly. "We judged you by our standards," Threshkar said finally, his voice heavy with emotion. "We forgot that you built this ship alone, in the dark, afraid of what you might find in the stars. And when you finally found friends, you risked everything to save them." He turned to face Miho. "Humanity is accepted as a full council member. And I personally request that Captain Daehoon accept our highest military honor." The end of Part 5.